What's up, girls and boys? What's up, internet? Boy, am I excited for today's video as we start up on our walkthrough slash guide for Nippon Ichi Software America and FuRYu's latest JRPG goodness that will be released in a couple of days to the west. Monark. So yeah, you guys know how I feel about this game and how excited I was waiting for it to come after playing the demo. And now that we have our own copy, thanks to our good friends over at Nippon Ichi Software America, we can now dive into Shin Mikado Academy and the secrets this place holds. Now, I'll be trying my utmost best to keep this as spoiler-free as possible as I provide you guys with a full walkthrough to help you through the entire game. Timestamps will be available on the video description below, and I'll be separating each chapter or each act in different videos because I don't want to make videos longer than they should be. Do note that I will try not to show any cutscenes in these videos just to try to keep the spoilers to a minimum. I will also not be providing in-depth directions to go through some sections since most of them are pretty linear. So, what will these guides have? Well, general information on how to get through each chapters for one, list of items that you can obtain per chapter is another. Although, I will be releasing separate videos for all the Academy notes, the Cromwell notes, alter egos and how to unlock them, as well as psychology tests and what answers does what, just to name a few. So, if you guys are interested in getting everything in the game and in Monarch in general, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so that you won't miss out on any of these videos when they come out. But before we begin, let me just put up a little warning. To those of you who came to watch this video, allow me to say a few words before our rodeo. Here for you all is just one little warning. This game contains themes that could be triggering. If you're someone easily frazzled, keep in mind these things that could get you rattled. Though I will try with utmost care to refrain from showing them on the air, if you intend to play Monarch yourself, then just know these things will not be withheld. But if you feel fine and are very curious of what tale awaits us regardless of those issues, then let us not tarry any longer and dive straight into the prologue and the game's first chapter. Alright, so these two chapters, the prologue and Blindfold Savior, are actually part of the demo you can play right now on the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation, and PC. So you guys may already know what to do, but in the event that you have not dabbled into the demo for whatever reason, then let's get started. Otherwise, for those of you who have played the demo, you can simply load up your save files and start from the first interlude and check out the other chapters in our guide to help you through. Anyways, for those of you who are still here, let's begin. So, the game starts off with quite a bit of cutscene, but once those are done, you are immediately thrown into an unwinnable battle. So, if you want to save time, simply let the legions, those skeleton-like enemies, attack and beat you to trigger the next few cutscenes. Now, you'll be asked for your name. You can input any name you would like, but keep in mind that there is a limit to both the first and last name character counts. After you have picked a name for our protagonist, you will then be asked 15 personality type questions plus the final 16 question that will determine what your personality is and by extension what kind of ego and desire you have. Whatever ego you end up having the most points in my case gluttony, will determine what type of legion you will unlock first. The legion type, which can be anything from the 7 egos, also determines what kinds of attacks and techniques they will have. You don't have to worry yourself too much about what answers to give though, since you will end up having more legions later and you'll also be able to manipulate the increase of your ego's stats. So simply answer as honestly as you would like. Once that is done, another set of cutscenes occur before you're allowed a little bit of control over your character. Note that whatever answer you provide at this point holds no bearing nor rewards you in any way as to what happens in the story. So for now, simply follow the others as you won't be able to explore just yet, and after a bunch of cutscenes, you will once again end up in battle. Now, this is your first real battle, so be sure to take your time in battle and not rush. Depending if you enabled casual mode or not, legions in this fight could give you a whopping if you are not careful. Before we continue, let me just give you guys a quick little primer on how battles work on Monark. As battles go, you can determine whether your attack or the enemy's attack will hit or miss by the hit percentage depicted above their heads. You can also see whether the enemy will be able to counterattack or not. So, as a general rule for battles, I always try to do back attacks on enemies, or if that's not possible, use an attack they will not be able to counter. Also, take note that your physical attacks, or arts as they are called, use your HP. That is discounting the basic attacks such as the slash attack. Choosing not to do anything during your turn by selecting the wait command heals a little bit of that HP. Attacks or techniques falling under authority are ones that could only be wielded by pack bearers and demons, or in the case of when you resonate with your allies, them as well. These authorities increase your mad gauge upon use. Getting your mad gauge to full will cause that character to enter a state called madness, where their stats are buffed but renders that character or unit uncontrollable. What's more, after 3 turns, that character will experience a breakdown which causes them to be knocked out in battle. On the other hand, there are attacks and skills that increase your awake gauge. Using resolve or taking damage, to name a few examples, increases this gauge, and when it is filled, that character ends up in a state called awakened. Awakened units gain stat buffs and can use all authorities and arts without cost. Both of these stats could be passed on to another character if you resonate with them, another option available to our main protagonist. And if you play your cards right and manage to get both your mad and awake gauge up to 100%, then you will trigger another state, the enlightened state. In this state, your units gain enhanced stats for a couple of turns and can also use all your skills without cost. Now, arts and authorities cannot be learned in battle. They can only be unlocked by leveling up your character using spirit, which can be found as you explore the school or as a reward for winning battles. Speaking of battle rewards, you will get equipment or vessels for your legion and other consumable items when you win. You will also get an increase in ego for every enemy you beat. But what that increase is determined by what type of ego the enemy you defeated have. You can find out what type they are by looking at the icon that appears beside their name in the enemy information card during battle. Now, moving along, you'll be treated to more cutscenes plus the game's opening movie with the killer track Nihil that will close off the prologue chapter and herald forth Act 1, Nozomi Hinata, Blind Fool Savior. Nozomi's chapter naturally kicks off with even more cutscenes that will tell you more of what's going on in Shin Mikado Academy and explain the otherworld, demons, authorities, pack bearers, and what is expected of you to do. Once all of that cutscene is done, you will finally be allowed control of your character and will be deposited in this room, which will basically act as your headquarters / club room for the time being. From here, what you have to do is talk to Nozomi and Vanitas, whom you can trade spirit with to get consumable items or choose to deconstruct items to get spirit. And afterwards, exit the room. But before we actually leave, let's open up our smartphone and talk a little bit about what we can use there. So at this point of the game, we have 11 icons in our smartphone. The to-do list, map, call, character, item, library, achievement, profiles, save/load, help, and system. The to-do list is where you can check your progress in the game and find hints on what to do next. The map shows a simplified and overview map of the entire school where buildings and rooms you have unlocked could be teleported to by selecting them on the list. The call button calls up your phone's keypad where you can type numbers you find scattered in the school and get teleported to the other world through them, or look upon history of phone calls you have made or received as well as your contacts to immediately jump into those otherworld battles. Character is where you can unlock abilities using spirits or change character costumes, as well as equip vessels, customize how your legion looks, and rename them. Item obviously brings up your inventory and the list of all the items you have. The library is where you can find all the books or notes or pamphlets that you have found scattered in Shin Mikado Academy. There are some puzzles that require you to look into them. Also, this is where you can find the game's jukebox, where you can play all the songs and music used in Monark. Achievement lists up all the achievements that can be unlocked in the game, as well as the corresponding rewards to them, which you will need to manually claim. Profiles, like the Caligula Effect games, list all the characters you have met and information about them. This is useful for some puzzles and for looking for alter egos. Save/load is for saving and loading, and help is where the game's tutorials are. System is, of course, the option menu where you can change settings and can choose to return to the title screen. And that about covers the phone for now. So, back to the walkthrough. Once you're ready, leave the TSC room to, you've guessed it, trigger yet another cutscene and get Nozomi as your first buddy companion. Now, you can choose to immediately head towards the infirmary or explore the main building's first floor. If you choose the latter, remember to talk to the students around to register their profile and check for shiny spots to obtain items and/or notes. You can also speak with Matsushima to get your first psych test. Here is a list of the profiles you can unlock and the items you can obtain at this time. In the infirmary, you will trigger some more cutscenes. Also, note that talking with Kakeru will net you a maximum of 4 mental stabilizers. Every time you run out or use one and talk to him again, he will give you some more. He will also lower your mad gauge every time you speak with him. Once the infirmary cutscene is done, head to the east of the main building to trigger yet some more cutscenes before backtracking to where the infirmary is, triggering another cutscene, and finally heading to the second floor. Here, you will find 12 notes found in red sparkling spots that will tell you the story of two girls and will give you a hint on how to get past the unsettled blocking your way in this floor. There are also other items here as is listed. Now, to get the unsettled Reina Ichijo to move, you have to select the third option when prompted. Getting her to move will let you enter room 3D, where you will find the call to your first ideal and a battle waiting for you. The battle shouldn't be too hard, especially since you have an additional fighter with you in Nozomi. Winning this battle will, of course, give you some more cutscenes that gives you a look at the mind of the villain in this initial scenario. You will then be brought back to the TSC room where more cutscenes await. Once the cutscenes are done, you have to first talk with everyone in the room before leaving. Also, since you have obtained some spirits and vessels, it is a good idea to level up and unlock skills for your characters now and equip the vessels on your legion. If you head to the infirmary, at this point, you will also trigger an event with the protagonists Kakeru and Nozomi. While you're here, be sure to speak with Kakeru again to let him lower your mad gauge for you. Though there isn't any new items, there is a new profile you can register in the first floor, Shota Yokosuka. Now on the mist-free second floor, you will trigger another cutscene before you're allowed to fully explore the floor, where you can find these people as well as an altered ego, more on that on a separate video, and another one of those psych tests. Reaching the other side of the second floor will trigger a cutscene before letting you go up the mist-infested third floor. Now, before you actually climb up to the third floor, from this side of the hall in the second floor, be sure to go down to the first floor first to get the Academy Advice column note. Once on the third floor, speak with Vanitas first and use your phone to call the number he gives and rid yourself of the death calls. Calls that cause the unsettled, those students or faculty members trapped in the fog, to go crazy and try to catch you. If they catch you, your mad gauge will immediately turn to full. Be sure to call this number via the call option on your phone when you are close to Vanitas to transport yourself to the other world and battle the Legion there. Note that if you answer these death calls, you will be forced to fight incredibly strong level 80 to 90 enemies. In these maps, from the numbers Vanitas gives you, your main goal is to destroy the Singularity, the small orange crystal on the map. Destroying the Singularity immediately ends the battle, regardless if there are more enemies around. My advice? Destroy the enemies first, since it's the only way, apart from taking those psych tests, that you can increase your ego, gain vessels, and obtain spirit for leveling up and buying items. Once you've dealt with the Singularity, you'll have a worry-free time to explore the third floor. Again, there are 3 notes that will give you hints on how to solve the locker puzzle, plus a couple of items as listed here. Now, in order to progress, you will first need to speak with Miki Hirai to get her profile information. Once you have that, head back to the room where the locker is. Room 3E. The locker combination is the last 4 digits of Miki's ID. This will net you the 3rd year badge you need to enter the room being guarded by the 3rd years. Speak with any of the 3rd year students guarding the door to the room, or for the sake of getting their profiles early, both, and they will let you in, where you will find the next phone call to the next ideal. Be sure you're prepared for battle before accepting the call. Once the ideal has been shattered, and after a plethora of cutscenes which will reveal the identity of the Pack Bearer of Pride, you will once again be transported to the TSC room, where you will have to speak with everyone inside to progress. When you're ready, leave the TSC room and make your way to the 3rd floor, where you will be given yet another cutscene. You may have noticed along the way that there are more alter egos available to you now, and that everyone in the building, save for those you are allied with, had all been brainwashed. There's not much you can do for them right now, but make sure you do explore to obtain the following. Now, once you get to the rooftop, Vanitas will give you your 2nd phone number to the depths. Be sure to call that number to deal with the singularity, otherwise you might end up getting chased and doubling back when a death call comes. In this mist-infested rooftop, you will find the hint to proceed further in the 4 red notes scattered around. You will also find the following in this area. Now, in order to get through the door, you need to speak with the student on the other side and pick the 3rd option. The next call can be found on the end of the newly opened area. Be warned, there is a scene that occurs when you get close to the people on the ledge that may be triggering to some, and I will not show it in this video. Be sure to collect everything there is to collect in this new area before you trigger and accept the phone call. Also, be sure that you're properly healed, leveled, and geared as well, since this phone call will bring you to the final ideal, where you will face the Pack Bearer of Pride and the Monarch of Pride. The legions that accompany both enemies range from level 3 to 4. The Monarch is level 10, while the Pack Bearer of Pride is at level 6. The Pack Bearer will constantly use Resolve to awaken, unless you move too close, in which case they will attack, while the Monarch will stay in its place until all the Legion have been defeated or you move close. The battle area also has 3 gimmicks in it: a healing area, 2 poison infecting areas, and walls you can destroy. My strategy here is dealing with the Legion first, destroying the wall to the right that leads to the healing area, and waiting for the Pack Bearer of Pride to enter the awakened state. Once awakened, I have the protagonist use Enemy Resonance, which is a skill I have unlocked on the Pack Bearer of Pride in order to enter the awakened state as well, and using whatever authority I have to wallop him while keeping an eye on the Monarch. In my playthroughs, I've only ever found the Monarch to be troublesome when she uses a wide area of attack authority, Bloody Lattice. This boss battle shouldn't be too hard provided you have leveled up your characters and have prepared in advance. If you need help leveling, I have an upcoming video for that as well. Once the battle ends and the Pack Bearer of Pride calls us foolish one last time, the chapter comes to a close with us getting another Legion, which is dependent on which ego you have the highest stat on at the time. We will also be privy to the knowledge of what happens to a Pack Bearer once all their ideals has been shattered. To completely finish the chapter, however, you will need to speak with Nozomi. And That's it for the prologue and Act 1 Nozomi chapter. Next up, we'll tackle the first interlude chapter and make our way to the next building and our next pack bearer. If you guys have any questions, feel free to use the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, you guys know the drill. Dream on, fly on. Bye bye for now. Keep safe, everyone.
We might be 80 and think about the different things we